Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Hello, guys, and welcome back to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. If this is your first time here, hello, my name is Nina Adio, and on this podcast, we talk about, guess what? Wedding marketing. We talk about your wedding businesses, and we try to relate it to the whole spectrum of what that can mean, from venues to photo booths. And we primarily will talk about strategies pertaining to social media or any other requests I get. So if you message me, most often I'm on Instagram over at I Do Wedding Marketing, but I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and I have a Facebook group, which will be linked below. Ask your questions, we'll do an episode on them. The past few episodes, I've been taking inspiration from my friend LaTasha James's Bizmas challenge. B-I-Z-Mus. So it is a take on Vlogmas, and I will have her Freelance Friday Club membership where she posts this linked in the show notes if you want to check it out. But I've been mentioning it every episode, so I'm trying to keep it brief. And today's topic, I am up to day 4. I'm not doing it daily like I initially thought. I said, well, let's just keep the juices going. Let's not burn out. Let's just use them when we're able to sit and chat. And today's topic is creator inspo. So I want to talk about how, as a social media marketer, as a social media manager, as a social media content creator, where do I find inspiration for myself, for my wedding professionals, for my clients, so forth. So I broke it down into 4 different areas, none in which are ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a fantastic resource for ideas. But you already know about this, because not only have I done episodes on ChatGPT, but I do have the ChatGPT for Wedding Marketing course. So you can check that out over at idoweddingmarketing.com or in the show notes. Now, what other sources of inspiration I'm going to give you today. And this is for social media content. And one of the places that I like to look for social media content inspiration is wedding professionals in other regions. So let's say I am working with a client who is in one of the big areas for weddings. For me, New York, Texas, I find really comparable. California, areas of California can be really big. And so when I'm dealing with a client who's in one of those really big markets, I'll see what other people in totally different sides of the country are doing. And I like to do this because I don't want to use my own competitors or my clients' competitors for inspiration. I want to see what other people are doing outside of our area and then relate it to our area, relate it to our business. As we know, this is inspiration. This is getting ideas. This is not copying. I don't recommend, of course, copying. That's not the name of the game here. But what you really want to align with is, let's say you are a wedding professional in a coastal town, look up another coastal town. If you're in the Northeast, maybe they're in the Southeast, or just totally different state or area. And this will help to give you ideas without directly getting them from competitors, because I just don't like that feeling. So I'll give an example of, if you're in Newport, Rhode Island, I would say that looking into the east end of Long Island, especially those areas on the water, could be another example of a comparison. So things like that. You also can use professionals who are dealing within the same type of budgets or have the same type of target audience, but just in different areas. So you're not reaching for the same precise client, right? It's the same client avatar in those two different locations. So that has been something really helpful for me. And that's when I'll actually use the knot. So I'll go to the knot and I'll say, okay, let's look up venues in Fort Worth, and I'll look at them and get some ideas and see, do some market research, but in a different area. Now, the next place I will go to for inspiration is other industries. Excuse me a second while we take our coffee break. Hold on. Okay, other industries. So, for me, one of my favorites is looking up reels that realtors do. Realtors. Sorry, I'm laughing at the bit of a pun with reels and realtors. But realtors, they're very active on social media and they're very clever. A lot of them are when you find the good ones. Even interior designers or artists, it's very visual, and I will get some ideas from there. And then I will think, okay, how can I apply this to weddings? So somebody didn't already give the wedding example for you. You're taking something that's working for somebody else, something that piqued your interest, and pick a category you're interested in. It doesn't have to be realtors. Very often when I'm looking up authors and books, because I'm into that, I will then say, okay, how can I make this wedding? So pick a topic you're interested in and just think, when you see something you like, go, how can I make this weddings? So looking into other industries will be helpful for inspiration. And like I said, if you can pick an industry you're interested in, it just means you might be able to do this more often. You might be able to translate it better because you're already interested, and it might make it more fun for you rather than painful. So the next place to look for inspiration is other platforms. And I think you guys might know specifically the platform I mean, and it's TikTok. It is so true, but things go viral on TikTok first and on Instagram. I see this happen a lot. But very often you can benefit from TikTok without even being on it. You can look at TikTok to get that inspiration and see, what are people doing that maybe isn't being posted in my space yet. If your space is Instagram or even Pinterest. Now, I will go into using Pinterest as a place for content, rather than inspiration. What I like to do for Pinterest, I'm throwing in this fun fact, is I use a site called Inflact, Inflact, and you can download your past reels or TikToks to your desktop using that site. I work from a desktop for this. It should work just as well from a computer, though you also can screen record your content from a computer. So it might not be as much of a great hack as it is for me on the desktop. But I'll use that to download reels and I will upload them to TikTok, not to TikTok, to Pinterest. So I'll say that again because I messed up my words, that I will go to inflact.com, paste in the URL of a TikTok or reel that I did, download the reel, and I will post that as a pin on Pinterest. And I will link it back to the most relevant place on my website. So even though that's not an inspiration tip, that was a quick tip I wanted to give you relating to other platforms, just because I'm excited about it, because it's been working so well for me this past year. But Pinterest can still be a source of inspiration. You want to see what anybody is doing on Pinterest that works. And you want to look into your own data for inspiration. And this is particularly true on Pinterest. So let's make it 5 topics now instead of the 4, because I changed my fourth. The fourth is now you want to look at your own data for inspiration. Go to your Pinterest, even if you've only been using it passively, and see what your most popular pin has been. I did this recently and saw I was getting hundreds of clicks every week on a pin about how to caption. for wedding professionals. And this was leading to a blog post, but the blog post didn't have any of its own call to action. So what I did was I updated that blog post to have a download, a free download for a captioning guide for wedding pros. And now when people find that pin, there is also this call to action for them to join my email list by downloading this freebie. So you may have a pin that's performing really well and you don't even know what it's linking to. Go back to those and see what it's linking to, and also go back to those to see how you can create more content like that. Especially as we reach the end of the year, going to your social media platforms and seeing what were your most popular posts will help you recreate those posts going forward. That is a really great place to get inspiration because it's giving you the data. What did well? How many shares did it get? How many website clicks did it get you? Go to your Instagram from your mobile account, or if you use a scheduling platform like Later, I use Later, which has its own analytics report within the platform. But if you don't have a scheduling platform, go to Instagram on your mobile device and click Insights. That's going to be when you click your profile, and just play around and look there and get familiar with that information. TikTok probably has this within the app as well, and Pinterest and Facebook. I access this information from the desktop. So you can go to your desktop to review that information. Actually, the same place you'll get the Facebook information, if your Instagram is linked there, you'll be able to pull the Instagram data too, which is really nice. And what's done well before, you may want to recreate to use again. Sometimes I will take a graphic post that I saw that did well. Maybe it was offering advice and had a quote of advice for it. And I will say, well, that did well. Let's repurpose it into a reel. And I'll get ideas and inspiration like that. Now, the last place to get inspiration from is from one another. But what I really mean by that, it's not just doing things you're already doing. For example, if you're here, you're already listening to podcasts to get inspiration. Sometimes it can be having the guts to ask, having the guts to ask. And it's not always easy because in our minds, we can feel like, oh, I don't want them to feel like I'm trying to copy them or that I'm taking from them. But if you're in a collaborative atmosphere and you're willing to give as well as receive, you will find that community over competition is real. I was at a wedding pro workshop for wedding professionals of any type, any industry, any location. We met in Newport, Rhode Island. It was hosted by Denniston at Eventlightenment, who was on episode 76 of the podcast. And one of the attendees, her handle is something borrowed events. Her name, let me make sure I have the handle specifically right. Hold on. I'm glad I checked. It's something borrowed event decor. And you'll know it's her because her name is Emily. She has a beautiful smiling icon and over 13,000 followers. And what everybody in this workshop or summit, whatever you want to call it, everybody wanted to know, Emily, how do you do your reels? And Emily didn't give a vague answer. She answered in detail, and she answered the entire time. Whenever something else came up that would relate back to that, she would share more information, more of what worked for her, and then she would offer to send it to everybody else. So by having the willingness to do the scary thing and to ask is how you can get those answers, because it may not seem natural, right? Based on maybe your past experiences or growing up, maybe you were competitive in school or people were competitive with you, but it doesn't have to be that way as a business owner. Especially a lot of us are kind of in the same boat. We can relate to one another and we go, I want to help you succeed and you want to help me succeed. So let's do it. Here's what's working for me. Here's how I do this. So if you're enjoying what someone's doing, tell them, and then ask for the nugget, right? Don't just go to the nugget. Tell them you admire them first and then get those nuggets. So, to summarize, inspiration, get it from wedding pros in other regions, get it from other industries, get it from other platforms, get it from your own data, and get it from one another. How exciting is that? I feel inspired to make some content. Let me know where you get your inspiration from. I will put up a Q&A in the Spotify option of this podcast, so anyone who's listening on Spotify will be able to answer that question. Or you can, of course, message me over at I Do Wedding Marketing. Don't forget the ChatGPT for Wedding Marketing course is still on sale. And I am just so excited for us all to have an incredible, incredible engagement and holiday season. Thank you for being here, guys, and I will see you on the next one.